Hi, everyone. My name's Kristina. For anyone who doesn't know me, I grew up on Long Island. Um, I went to school in Riverhead. It's kind of like on the North Fork, and uh, I went to school actually on the island as well. I went to a college actually on Long Island. I'm a homebody.
Where in Long Island? I actually have a friend that lives there.
Oh, really? It's so kind of in the North Fork,
Mhm.
around Riverhead area, I would say.
Okay.
And then I went to college on Long Island to Stony Brook. Um, because I'm a homebody. I tried going away, but that didn't work out. So I just stayed home. And actually, after I graduated high school, my parents got divorced. So I was forced to leave the house. And then that's when I kind of had to like grow up a lot faster than a lot of 18, 17-year-olds. So that's kind of when I got into social media content creation. And during COVID, that was like a big time in
Mhm.
making content online. And that's kind of how I got started.
Did you have like a passion for it before, or was COVID kind of like a huge driving factor for you, being stuck inside, not being able to have much else to do? I know it was for a lot of people, trying to find things to keep ourselves occupied.
So I've always had a like passion for like putting yourself out there and just like doing things online. I feel like it's a really good way to like make money and really like learn about yourself. Basically during COVID, I had a lot of time to be able to like do social media content creation. So that was a big time for me.
What type of things are you passionate about that you want to create content around? Because I see you do a lot of different things from, fashion and a little bit of lifestyle. And then, I've seen a channel where you're eating meat as well.
Yeah. I do I do it I do a lot. So I try to like do a bunch and see what sticks. So I do fashion. I am 6 foot tall, so I try to do tall girl content as well because it's like really hard for people to find like clothing items when you're this tall, especially jeans. They're always high waters. So
Mhm.
I do fashion, tall girl content. I do health and wellness stuff because that's something I've been recently getting passionate about, but usually I just do fashion and like lifestyle stuff along those lines.
Nice. When did you start to realize that, oh shit, this could be a real thing? Like this is, getting some traction. I could probably monetize this at some point. Did it happen super quickly or did you really have to grind it out?
Well, at first I started getting like free items and that was really
Mhm.
cool. I would get like
That's always the best.
I know it's the best getting like free PR. And I was like, wow, this is like cool. Like I could get free things instead of actually buying them myself. So that was kind of cool. And then I realized companies were like paying me. I think like one of my first things I ever did was with like a watch company and they would pay me to make videos for them. So kind of like a little bit of UGC content creation and I would post on their platforms. I was like, wow, I could make money and literally post for them. Let's just say a couple minutes to post for them when I could like work a whole day and make this kind of money.
Mhm.
It was like, I was like, wow, this is really cool. So that's when I started like realizing, wow, I could actually make money from this.
Were you getting, free stuff from like boutique brands or larger brands or off brands? Like, was it anything in particular?
It was kind of like random things to be honest. At
Mhm.
first, it was more like I did like watch companies. Sometimes I would get clothing. Now I get more like larger brands now that I've been doing it a little bit longer, but at first I didn't really get too many.
How long do you think it took? Do you think it took like a year, 2 years? Like, at what point did it hit you and you're like, oh, this really could be a living for me?
Yeah, so at first I was posting consistently and then I stopped.
Mhm.
So that like when you stop and when you're not posting and when you're not doing that, you're not gonna get the benefit or the outcome. And I kind of like lost track of like what I actually wanted to do. And like I wasn't really getting a lot of things coming in at first. And I was like, wow, I kind of miss like doing the online stuff because you could make money and get free things. And it just is like you could create your own schedule, you're your own boss. So I did stop for a little bit and I realized, wow, like I was stupid for doing that because I actually genuinely love like working for myself and being my own boss. So then I started doing it again. And then recently it's been picking up and I've been able to like get a lot of packages and like make consistent money. So it's been really nice.
So then you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram. Did it originate from one of those platforms or were you doing it to all of them?
It originated from TikTok. Yeah. TikTok is like
Okay.
the biggest way to make money, in my opinion. I feel like to like monetize your accounts.
Through their incentive program, right?
Actually, well, they
Or
do like,
externally.
yeah, you could do like a couple things. So you could do the TikTok shop affiliate. You could do affiliates with certain companies, or you could do ads if you have enough followers, or you could do the TikTok. I forget what it's called, where you get money per view you get. Do you know what that's called on TikTok?
I don't know what it's called, but I know they have like a creator beta program.
I don't believe I'm part of that anymore. I was, but I think it brings your views down at first. So you have to be in it for a while to actually
Mhm.
see the outcome.
I think there's one with like a 10,000 follower threshold, and then there's one like at 100,000, and then there's TikTok Shop and a bunch of other things you can do too. But that's really cool. Have you used TikTok Shop? What's that experience like? I hear a lot of, on one side, it's really good for creators because they can engage with brands and get a chance to sell something really cool and show their skill. But at the same time, it comes off super spammy for people getting
Yeah.
the same Anchor charger or Nugget ice maker over and over and over again. Um,
Yeah.
what's your personal experience been with that?
I definitely could see how it could be very salesy and stuff like that. But my experience is it's been really beneficial. I'm part of the TikTok Shop Star program, so I have to like post a certain amount being a part of that program, and you have like certain incentives and stuff like that. So I think it's been very beneficial, although it could be very salesy. It's been really good for me because I get a lot of brands reaching out to me and I get a lot of PR and I've been able to make a lot of money doing that. But yeah, it's definitely it can be salesy sometimes. I think TikTok Shop is going to be the next Amazon a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's getting to that point. I mean, hopefully TikTok's still around in January. Is there any concern about that exiting the US at all, or has that not really hit anybody yet?
I'm not sure, to be honest. They always say stuff like that. I feel
Mhm.
like this has been an ongoing thing for a while. I'm not really too concerned. There's always going to be some type of platform that you're going to be able to make money on. Figure it out as you go.
Have you been able to migrate that over to something like Amazon Storefront as well? Because I know that's another route for people to start selling maybe their own stuff or maybe they're doing affiliates. Are you also doing that?
Yeah, so I have a Amazon storefront as well. So that's like an affiliate to them as well. So anyone who buys through your link, you will get commission as well.
Oh, okay, nice. And how's that process kind of work? Like, is it difficult to set up or to get into, or is it pretty straightforward?
It's pretty straightforward. I forget exactly what criteria you need, but it's very straightforward. You just make a storefront and put products that you like, or and you can put them in different like folders, house items, fashion
Mm,
stuff, like summer
you can
clothes.
categorize it.
Yeah, you could categorize it. So that's pretty nice. And a lot of people love Amazon, but I also feel like it's a good way to buy things.
Absolutely. I think it's the easiest way to buy things these days. Plus, with Amazon Prime, you pretty much get everything you want all bundled up.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
It is fantastic. What does your day-to-day look like, as a creator when you're going to put content together? Do you just have an idea and then you just kind of wing it and go for it and see what happens? Or do you have like a process? Like, how do you plan for a piece of content?
My schedule is a little crazy. So I actually work a 9 to 5, 4 days a week.
Oh, so you're grinding at it too.
Yeah, I don't know why I do the 9 to 5. It's more just like a safety blanket, if that makes sense. But I do recommend people if they're gonna do content creation to go in at full force. But I literally wake up very, very early before I go into my 9 to 5, grind out my content throughout the like in the morning. I usually have a list of things I need to do or like brands that I'm working with or content I have to put out that I have to get it done that morning. And then I'll go to my 9 to 5, just those 4 days a week. And then after work, I'm working on editing videos, posting content. Sometimes even during like my 9 to 5, I have some leniency there that I'm able to get some stuff done. And then, yeah, basically that's my day to day. And I usually work 7 days a week with social media stuff. But I'm sure you know people who do that all the time and are always on their phone.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that are influencers, that are creators. Usually they're like full into it, the ones that I know, but the ones that are doing like a 9 to 5 on the side or that have another job or another business is like it baffles my mind because I feel like if you are a creator and you're doing really well and you're generating, income and you have revenue and you have followers that are expecting new things and you have partnerships and collaborations, that sucks up a lot of time. Balancing that with a 9 to 5 is, pretty impressive, having to be diligent in the morning, be diligent in the evening, create, edit, post, schedule.
That's something I'm struggling with a little bit because it sucks out all the energy and everything, but it's worth it.
Do you do any like time boxing techniques or any of those things for like organizing yourself a little bit, having when you have ideas to kind of like construct a little bit more? Because I'm sure there's a lot of creators out there trying to figure out how can they organize themselves a little bit better so they don't run into a loss of idea or burnout at some point, or even, getting completely sidetracked. And, it's easier to have organization.
Definitely. I believe that's what it's called, time boxing or whatever. It's
Mhm.
like having a schedule. Usually at nighttime, I will write in like a schedule at like exact times, like what I need to get done. And that helps me with a little bit more structure. It doesn't always go as planned, but if I at least like the night before my day, I like write down like, oh, 6 a.m. I'm gonna wake up. At 6:30, gotta get this done. 7 o'clock, this done, and this done, and this done. And then I like even put in like breakfast or like working out. I add those things onto the list, and that is very beneficial when I actually like see all the time that I have in the day and like put things into the schedule, then it's easier to just get things done that way instead of just like winging it. My brain feels so scrambled all the time. It's better when things are like written down.
You sound like me in that way. Work, eat, sleep.
It's a blessing and a curse. I guess it keeps you busy, right? It keeps your
It
mind
does.
from not, getting distracted.
How do you handle, the pressure to keep up with that and also the pressure to kind of look a certain way or look good or look perfect on social media? Because there's balance I think people try to strike with aesthetic and either trying to look a certain way or filters or painting a picture for people, but also being authentic at the same time and not getting away from who you are too much as a person. Do you ever struggle trying to balance those two things, or has it been easy for you, or did you kind of go through that at some point?
I do think sometimes I still struggle with that. Like it's always going to be a constant battle of like trying to be perfect on social media. But I also like try to care less of like what I post on social media because I know like that at the end of the day, like you have to take those risks and you have to post like and be consistent and be authentic to yourself or you're not going to get the outcome that you want. Trying to always be perfect on social media is like not possible. If you always try to be perfect, then you're not going to get a good outcome if you're just not being authentic to who you are.
Yeah, 100% agree. And plus the algorithm seems to favor that a bit more these days too, rather than hopping on too many trends. But that's the other question I wanted to ask as well is, do you have any tips or advice for getting around and beating the algorithm?
For me specifically, I feel like being consistent and posting constantly has been the number one driver to like my success. If I wasn't consistent, then I wouldn't be able to have the outcome that I have had. So I think being consistent and like just posting different content that you're not used to posting, I feel like sometimes things could just like hit it off. You're never going to be able to figure out the algorithm sometimes because it could, you
It's
know,
always changing.
it's always changing. So I feel like just being consistent, being authentic, and just like posting content that you're not used to posting because who knows, it might resonate with someone else.
Does it help to post at like certain times or to incorporate certain sounds? I know like Instagram and TikTok, that can be a big thing sometimes. Or to kind of do a little bit of trend jacking, figure out what's trending out there or popular and kind of tweaking it and making it your own? Is there any strategy behind that that can help give them a bit of a boost?
I feel like sometimes it could be redundant, but, I do follow, like, the trends sometimes, and, like, it's always good to follow the trends a little bit and putting a little spin on it to things that you could resonate with. I also think, like, posting in the evening or posting in the morning, like, before people go to work, that's pretty good. I feel like it really doesn't matter what time you post because things always get pushed if they wanna get pushed. Just being consistent is, like, the biggest thing.
And then what's your goals in terms of monetization and where you want to take your channels? Like, do you want this to go bigger and better and get some big brands and, this be your main thing you do? Or is it always kind of on the side? Maybe you have another passion. What's the future kind of look like for you?
So I definitely I'd love to do this full time, and I think I can start doing this full time. I would like to work with bigger companies and stuff like that. I think social media content creation is amazing, and I would love to do this full time. And this is such an amazing job, but I would also want to start my own brand, which I'm working on. I think that's a big passion of mine as well. So I want to like dabble into like doing my making my own brand, and then I can monetize that or like promote it through my social media.
Would
That
that be a clothing brand or just a
yeah,
brand around yourself?
I'm looking into starting a tall girl company because I feel like that
Mm.
resonates with me a lot, and there's not many tall girl companies out there, so I feel like it would resonate like with people that follow me or people that could relate to being a tall girl.
And then that would primarily be like, tall girl fashion and maybe what to wear and, what you can accessorize that with, kind of going that direction. And then maybe having like a storefront selling your own products.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that would be really cool, but honestly, I feel like working online is like the biggest thing. I would love to be like my own boss, which I already am, but it's like I just want to keep continuing going in that direction and seeing what is to come.
Yeah, the last question I wanted to ask you was, what do you think about fashion and social media? I think the two are kind of fully integrated at this point. I think a lot of fashion comes out of the social media experience online and what we see from other people, and then also what people are like yourself, what you're showing us online from other brands, like the exposure you can get and the things you can find, I think are pretty unique versus having to go store to store in the real world to find something or
Yeah.
relying on one large department store. You can find everything super easily now.
I feel like most of the stuff is like online now, like you were saying, like you could literally find anything you want online, but it's really interesting seeing all the like fashion trends that come up on social media because the fashion trends are made on social media. Like that's what I think. We're starting to see more people buy straight from social media apps. I'm sure you're seeing that like with TikTok, Amazon, Instagram. You could buy straight off these apps now, which is really
Mhm.
cool. So it's interesting seeing how like fashion and social media are integrating. I feel like it's gonna keep growing, and there's gonna be less stores that you could go to in person, and it's gonna be more online.
I have to ask about the meat channel. Are you doing that to like promote a certain diet or healthy, living by consuming meat? Like what it kind of inspired that? Because I was watching it and it was kind of fun and funny to watch, but at the same time, it was also really interesting because I there's a lot of things you could potentially do with that too. Because I know the idea of a carnivore diet or having more meat in your diet is also becoming a big trend.
Yeah.
So is that more like spurring a lifestyle conversation?
Yeah, kind of. I feel like you have to do weird things or like go out of your comfort zone in order to people like question why you're doing that. So I was like,
Mhm.
let me do something different for once, and I'm really passionate about it. I There's a lot of people talk about the carnivore diet now, and I think it's so interesting, and my life has changed since being on this diet, and I promote it because it has changed my life, and I feel like it sparks like the conversation like you said of people just talking about it, and I feel like if I could tell more people about this diet and change their lives, I would love that because that's also
How did
amazing.
it change your life?
So I've been on this diet for 10 months. I used to struggle with really bad, like, gut problems, things along like that, and, like, a lot
Mhm.
of brain fog, a lot of anxiety. Zero of that now, like, obviously, sometimes I'm gonna have some, like, brain fog, but I like, the mental clarity since being on this diet is insane. I wouldn't be able to get half the work I get done now before going on this diet. I just feel like I don't crave any it's crazy. I don't crave any sugar, no sweets, like, I don't crave anything. I just crave red meat.
Is it just red meat, or are you mixing in,
I
other types as well?
I eat eggs. Some people include dairy. I can't really tolerate dairy too much, but what I just eat what it feels the best, honestly. So, I don't
Have you had any venison or elk?
that I need to try. I've
I
not
think
tried
that would
that
make for
before.
that'd be a good content.
Yeah, right? Okay, I'll try that. Yeah, I know. I really wanna try it, but I haven't had the chance. I just stock up on beef. I'm actually getting a half cow soon, which I'm really excited about.
That's a lot of meat.
Yeah, that's a lot of meat. I go through a lot of meat, though.
Good. I mean, it's healthy for you. Most people don't consume enough meat, and I think it's an important part of your diet, as a human. And, venison, especially elk, it's a really clean, lean meat. It's actually way better than eating beef.
Mhm,
And it has way more nutrients per
mhm.
ounce than, normal beef does, than any kind of steak you can get. I've always tried to eat it whenever I can. I have a hard time getting access to it here, but
Where do you
I
live?
recommend it. Well, I'm from the US, but right now I'm in Colombia,
Oh,
so
that's so
I
cool.
can't really get elk here.
What do they have?
um,
What's the food over there?
they have a lot of beef.
Beef is good though. It's good. People, red meat is very demified. What was that the word? People think red meat's really bad for you, but I can't go into the science on it. This is why I watch a lot of carnivore doctors talk about it, but it is so satiating and it's just is so good.
Do you follow any other creators that you like that kind of talk about this stuff?
Oh yeah, let me shout them out real quick. Dr. Anthony Chafee and Dr. Sean Baker. Oh, and Dr. Ken Berry. Those are 3 main ones that could go into the science behind the carnivore diet because I am not gonna be able to explain it too well. They will give us
Awesome.
the science behind it.
I'm very interested and fascinated by it, and definitely into, the health and diet and wellness stuff. As long as it's not like Liver King or something like that. Do you know who that
Yeah,
is?
yeah, I know who that is.
Okay, cool. Well, Christina, this has been an amazing episode. I think there's tons of value in this that I think a lot of other creators out there will really find useful. Where can people find you? I'm sure you're pretty easy to find, but what are your handles? TikTok, Instagram, elsewhere?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at Kristina Dunn, KRISTINA DUNN, and then my TikTok is Kristina Dunn with 2 N's, and then I also have another TikTok that's Kristina Dunn 2.0, and yeah, and then I'm also starting a Miss Meat account. It's Miss Meat. Those are gonna be like my carnivore content.
Love it. What's the 2.0? Is that just a second channel?
Yeah, that's his second channel.
Okay. Well, Christina, this has been amazing. Again, thank you so much for taking the time, and let's do it again soon.